We're back in the staging area here behind the starting line at Indy Super Pull, and going on behind me is the drivers' meeting, which is held 1 hour before each class. This is where the drivers and the officials running the event get together and kind of get their eggs all in one basket, so to speak, and get the show coordinated. We'll start off this afternoon show with the four-wheel drive class, and then we'll have the two 7,000-pound classes, the 7,000 modified and the 7,000-pound super stocks.
Mike, we start session 2 with the four-wheel drive trucks, the 6,200-pound class. And this is our first look at them.
Absolutely, Dave. This is one of the most popular divisions in the sport. And by the way, this is the only division in the sport that is not, they are not allowed to run blowers or turbochargers. The engines are fuel injected on straight alcohol.
To start off with one of the best in the class, Jerry Weaver out of Thornville, Ohio, running a 1985 Chevrolet, sponsored by Nationwide Auto Parts and Kendall Oil. Nationwide, also a sponsor here at the 1988 Indy Super Pull. And of course, Nationwide is a fine place to go when you need auto parts, with 200 store locations all across America. I noticed the wide tires out in front, of course, for traction, I presume. And of course, they're going to be pulling the same sled, but the weight has been changed on the sled with a different class.
Yes, it has, Dave. And things are a little bit different with the four-wheel drives. All the extra weight on the truck is just hung on the front end so that the front wheels will get good traction. The rear wheels get their traction from the down pull exerted from the front of the sled. The chain pulling down on the back of the truck is what the rear wheels get their traction.
So we see a lot of suitcase weights out here in the front. It'll be Jerry Weaver, number 1, here in the 6,200-pound four-wheel drive truck class at the Nationwide Auto Parts Indy Super Pull. The fans really like these trucks, Mike.
Yeah, they do. They really get into the four-wheel drive class.
A nice smooth start. Here he goes.
Front tires were chattering a little bit there, Dave, but I think Jerry, he probably thinks he can do a little bit better, and seeing how he is the test puller, the number 1 in the class, he has the option to drop back and make another pull, and I think that's probably what he's going to do.
Mike, the fans really like the trucks because they can relate to them. Many of the crowd here today have 2- and 4-wheel drive trucks at home.
That's right, Dave, and here's one of the best-looking trucks out of Fredonia, New York, Larry Frame, with an 86 GMC. Tightens the chain, sled's ready, starting flagman's ready.
Truck is for sale, too.
Yes, it is.
We do not have an official distance as of yet. We should get it right here.
This will be the first official pull of the class.
Frame comes up short of the full pull marker at 2:14 and 5. Our only four-wheel drive truck from Pennsylvania in this class is Ed Hensloven out of Morrisdale, PA. He calls it Nightmare, a 1987 Chevy. And Mike, the guys that drive these trucks and own them, they really have a lot of pride in their class.
Boy, they sure do, Dave. The attention to detail on these trucks is just unbelievable. Probably some of the best looking equipment in the sport is the four-wheel drive trucks.
Popular with the fans in the stands as well. Dave Hager's old Ironside is ready to roll. Nice straight run coming right down the middle of the track, and he comes close to the pylon, and it's going to be 2:16 and 2. And that should be good right now, I believe, to possibly take the lead. Yes. Here's 16-year-old Scott Smith, the son of famous four-wheel drive truck puller Bob Smith out of Winchester, Virginia. It's a 1982 Chevy. We have seen Scott start to do a lot more driving in this class in this past year. He just turned 16 in 1987, and here's a guy that can do it.
Well, I'll tell you, for a young man, Dave, he really knows what he's doing. He keeps his cool and does a real good job of driving.
He needs to beat 2:16 and 2.
Good start.
Boy, this is smooth. This is looking strong. He's going down the right-hand side of the track. Spectacular pull. Watch the pylon. He's coming close. Look how close it is, Mike. We just got the distance from the laser. They've had to go to another decimal point. He had to beat 2:16 and 2. He goes 2:16, 2.9, and he takes the lead.
Good run.
Here's Joe Schmolle out of North Judson, Indiana. They're very proud of their 1988 Ford Ranger, Super Ford.
They call it a Super Ford, Dave, because this engine has the largest cubic inch displacement of anybody in the class, over 750 cubic inch.
Unbelievable. The engines keep getting bigger and bigger each year. Well, with that many cubes and that much horsepower, they ought to take the lead. Let's see what happens.
Oh, he's got some problems, Dave.
Oh, no. It's bucking around on him out there.
Sounded like the engine was cutting out, but he stopped before 75 foot so he can back it up and have one more shot. Well, Dave, here he goes with the second and last attempt.
He won't have any more chances. He's got to make the best of it. Comes off the line. Oh, it's still breaking up on him, Mike. This doesn't sound good at all.
No, he's got raw alcohol coming out one of the pipes, Dave. Possibly an ignition problem.
Maybe a bad mag, and not good at all at 1:23 and 7. Mike, here's the truck that took both classes last year, the 1987 event. The Meisterbrow truck, driven by Bud Jaspy out of New Berlin, Wisconsin, with an Aries power plant. Last year, we remember it had a Dodge body on it.
Yeah, it did, Dave, but this is, boy, the Jaspys run some nice-looking equipment, don't they? This is a beautiful S10.
Well, of course, the Jaspys have their son Steve driving the Blazing Bison 4- and 5-engine modified dragster tractor class. The Jaspys just really go to a lot of pools all over the country and have done well no matter what organization.
Yes, they are. They are many times over national champions.
The Jaspys out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, ready to turn it off, ready to power down the track. Bud Jaspy.
He needs to beat 2:16, 2.9. Look at those weights out in the front. A little bit of a rough start there, but now it smooths out. Boy, he's got power all the way. Look at that truck get down and pull down right there as he hits the pylon and takes the lead at 2:18, 0.7. Tremendous.
Excellent run.
Last just a straight run. They went down the center of the track. We can see the track.
Jerry Weaver now comes back. Remember, he dropped 6 positions.
That's right.
He was the test puller. Comes back with his Chevrolet pickup, the Nationwide Kendall Special.
We'll see if he learned anything on his first trip down the track.
The first trip, he went 2:14 and 7. Let's see if he can better that run.
Good start.
Very smooth. Hey, he's got a lot of power getting into the track. The Nationwide Kendall truck is looking strong. There's the pylon, and he's a little short at 2:15 and 5. So he goes about a foot further than he did on his first run, but is still short here in the final result.
Not as far as he wanted to go.
Gary Saline's Wildfire truck out of Norfolk, Nebraska is one of the most consistent four-wheel drive trucks in America. It's a 1979 Ford, and we've seen him win pools, a lot of pools east of the Mississippi.
He sure has, Dave. He's done very well at Bowling Green in particular. One of the strongest trucks in this class.
He's got 2 trucks in this class. He'll be back later on with another one. Now the distance to beat is 218.07.
RPM's coming up.
Year after year, he's always come out on top. Very close to it. Let's see what he can do now. Smooth run. Look at him get that power to the track. Right down the center of the track. This is going to be a spectacular pull. Close, close. Yes, he goes by the pylon and takes the lead at 2:22, 0.6.
Good run.
You don't hear of taking a truck in trade very often, and they really don't run a used car lot, but that's sort of the case as the STP truck comes up here. It's going to be Mike Johnson driving from Perry, Oklahoma with an 88 Chevrolet. They sold their old truck, Mike.
Yes, they did, Dave. And if you notice, the pulls in this class, each one seems to get just a little bit longer. The track may be a factor in this class. The track may be changing and getting a little bit better as the class goes along.
Well, that's why the pullers draw from the hat or the bingo machine.
Right.
And you never know if the guy's going to pull early or late in the class, but it's the luck of the draw in many cases. Sometimes tracks change, as you indicated. Here's Mike Johnson out of Oklahoma with the Chevrolet. Sort of a rough start. Boy, they got to get it smoothed out, but it's looking good. Hey.
That doesn't look like he's going to move the flag.
All right, just a little short of the pylon, 221, 3.1. Well, the town of Winchester, Virginia has produced more four-wheel drive truck pullers in America than any place else, Mike. I think at one time there were over 30 trucks that came from at least the surrounding areas of Winchester, Virginia. And here's one of the best. Willie Omps drives a 1985 Ford Colt Enforcer, and don't be surprised if he takes the lead.
Willie's been in this sport a long time, and you never want to count him out.
Only 4 trucks to go in the class after he makes his pull. This has been a good one. Not enough for Willie this afternoon. Willie Umps from Winchester, Virginia, and he comes up short at 212, 1.3. Here's Glenn Davis out of Hollywood, Florida with a Chevrolet S10, a brand new pickup. A guy that has pulled a lot, and he has a good time in this sport.
Yeah, and Glenn is a real tough competitor, and he's come out with this new truck this year, and it's a beautiful piece of equipment, Dave.
He has to pass the distance of 222. Set back carry.
Sled's ready. Starting flagman has the green flag out, and we're ready to go with Glenn Davis.
Well, he wasn't in the top 5 in either of the four-wheel drive classes last year, so boy, he'd love to come out on top on this run. Placing the sled is very critical in this class.
Absolutely.
Mean green, he calls it. He's got a mean power plant. Look at him go. Look at the speed.
Excellent pull. This will be a good one.
Hey, he's by the pylon and takes the lead at 229.8. Paul Holman out of Wauseon, Ohio, has a truck called Foreplay. It's a 1960 Chevrolet. The engine sounds strong, and boy, the truck is doing very well. He finishes at 218, 10.2. One of the best four-wheel drive trucks in the state of Iowa is the Showtime Chevrolet, driven by Steve Olson.
I'll tell you, Dave, this, I would say, is one of the best-looking trucks in the class.
Showtime, ready to lead the line.
Looks good coming down the track.
A real straight run, but just losing power at the end. Not enough distance, and he finishes near the end of the class at 207, 1.6. Here's Steve Jasky out of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, with their modified Marvel, called the Meisterbrau Blazing Bison. It's got the big Aries engines. We've seen them in earlier classes with 5 inches. Now they're only running 4 and 7.
Right, they removed one for this class, Dave, and they're definitely one of the top runners.
This frame and tractor really seems to hook up to the track as they come off the line.
And Steve does an excellent job of driving.
The brakes are very important. He's had problems getting over to one side or the other of the track, but they keep it between the white lines. We may have a new leader in the class. Yes, Steve Jasky, 198 and 1. Mike, we noticed the distances in this class so far seem to be a little shorter than previous classes that we've seen here at Super Bowl. Why is that?
Well, the sled could be just a little bit heavy, and the tractors are chewing up the track. And if you notice, when the tractors unhook and pull away from the sled, there'll be quite a mountain of dirt in front of the pan. As the tractors chew up the track and the dirt accumulates in front of the pan, that's just that much extra weight that the pullers have to drag down the track.
Here's Dave Banter now getting ready to lead the line with the 4 Chevrolets. This is the one they call the Fox. The Banter brothers are from north central Indiana and have won many, many championships, more than anybody else in the world today. They're certainly favorites here in Indianapolis. 7,200-pound class is tough for them, and it sounds like those RPMs from the engine are going down, and boy, they are way short, Mike.
Yeah, they are, Dave. And you know, this tractor doesn't have a transmission. It really only has one gear, and maybe that gear is just a little bit too tall.
The distance, 177 and 10. Due to technical difficulties and the pace of the track officials indicating to our crew there was going to be a restart, we want to indicate to you that 3 pullers, John Heilman, who went 195 and 6, Gardner Stone went 93 and 2, and Mike Holden broke. However, there was no restart in the class.
That's right.
We continue on. Here's Dan Garrity now out of Albion, Indiana, with 3 KB Hemis. And Mike, these are popular drag racing engines.
Yeah, they are, Dave. These are probably the most popular engines in the top fuel and funny car classes in professional drag racing. And they're also a super strong tractor pulling motor.
And he's up against some tough competition because we've got some other tractors running 4 engines. But indoors, sometimes a triple engine tractor may have an advantage. Why?
Sometimes you can get hooked into the track better with not quite so much horsepower because you're not on the long track and you really don't get the long, high-speed run.
Well, we see those green lights come on. The Budweiser Nationwide Red Man sled. The decision maker back there is our stopping power today. And here comes Dan Garrity off the line. The Albany, Indiana puller is coming right down that right-hand side of the track, back toward the center. Empty pocket, stops at 172 and 1. A short pull. It looks like the sled may be a little heavy.
It'll still be a good class, though, Dave.
Well, here's the Irish Challenger. We've commented about those small tires out in front, but moving those engines to get a better weight distribution. But the Walsh family is really coming on strong. They've become a big name in the sport.
Yeah, they have, Dave. And there's one other interesting fact about this tractor. The engine's on the left side. To get all the gears in the gearbox turning the right direction so that the transmission will be turning the right way, the engine's on the left side of the tractor set a little farther out than the engine's on the right-hand side.
Well, I'll tell you, it's tremendous engineering that tractor and truck pullers included put into this kind of competition. Dave Walsh is the driver out of Boston, Wisconsin. The entire Walsh family is here to cheer him on. They're running these 640 cubic inch Aries engines, the Irish Challenger, gorgeous tractor, expensive tractor, yet to boot. Here he comes. Boy, he has got the front end picked up, but he's over on the right-hand side. He's out of bounds.
Man.
Oh, boy, that's a tough break. And you know, you want to keep it between the white lines and have a good pull. You just don't like to have it spell disaster like that. Out of bounds. Disqualified. Southwestern Indiana's Fred Freeman out of Wadesville with the mean mistreater, this time running the 454 Chevrolet. He's a really good driver. Watch that right hand. That's the throttle hand. He'll bury that throttle pretty quick. He doesn't waste any time. He's on his way. And he goes sky high. He's got to keep it right down the middle of the track. A good run going. Not bad at all as he comes close to the pylon, but a little short at 194 and 4. And that's going to put him in about the number 3 position right now. Good run. Mike, most everybody in this class is running 4 engines. In this particular case, the Banter brothers run the cast iron engine. Why wouldn't the Banter brothers go to the aluminum block motors?
Well, the biggest reason, Dave, is probably cost. Those aluminum racing engines are high-dollar engines, probably $30,000, $35,000 for a complete engine. And Ralph and Dave figure they can make just as much horsepower if they put in enough cast iron motors. But the one disadvantage, the cast iron motors are heavier. And especially in this light class where they try to run 4 engines, they have a little problem getting the front end of the tractor to come up because of the extra weight.
And that's why, as we look over standings in the last couple of years, the Banter brothers, the 7,000-pound class has never been real kind to them.
Of all the classes they pull, this is probably their worst class.
They do the best in the 9 and the 11, but let's see what they can do here in the 7,000-pound modified at Indy Super Bowl number 15. And Mike, if we look back in the standings over the years, I would have to say that the Banter brothers have been at all 15 events.
Yes, they sure have, Dave, since the beginning.
Mr. Chevy, brand new engines for 1988. They have to beat Steve Jaski's run of 198 and 1. Let's see if they can do it. David Banter fighting the wheel, fighting the brake, bouncing up and down, not getting locked in, screaming those engines. You see the pylon, he's way short at 183.10 for Mr. Chevy. Here's Bill Patterson now out of Ware, New Hampshire with the Brian and John Knox Sassy Massey as he comes down the track. He's got a good run going. Boy, they've had a pretty good Super Bowl so far, and they'd like to move up and win as many events as they can. Hey, they've gone past the pylon. No, not quite enough. It's 197.7. For a moment, we thought they had taken the lead. Only 4 inches behind Steve Jaski. A great run for the Sassy Massey. All right, here comes Tim Engler out of Princeton, Indiana, with his own chassis that he built and running the 4 Aries engines. Now, it's no big secret that he and the Banter brothers have a professional feud going because Engler running these 4 Aries engines going against Banter's 427 Chevrolet. Now, you would think that Mission Impossible certainly has to be the favorite in this class because he's got overwhelming horsepower, Mike.
Yeah, he does, Dave. When it comes down to mechanical engineering, there just isn't hardly anybody that can top him.
Last year, he finished number 4 in the class at the 87 Super Bowl. Fred Freeman, of course, was the winner of this class. You can see the size of those heads on there, the size of those blocks, the supercharger setting on top.
They're giant engines.
They call them giant killers sometimes. Tim Engler out of Princeton, Indiana. Last year built something like 8 or 10 different chassis. There's a lot of tractor and truck pullers used all over the country. Just a very professional puller. He's got plenty of problems. He's out of the seat right there. He jumps out of the seat and all kinds of problems, way short of the pylon. Now, Mike, I've got to ask you, is that too much power for that class?
Well, when you get down to the lighter weight classes, Dave, and you have these high horsepower tractors, it's just hard to keep everything under control.
Our final run in the class now here, the 7 modified. Wayne Keefe out of Hebron, Connecticut with 4 454 engines. Here we go. And you can hear it pulling those engines down. He finishes at 168.7. Ran out of power, Mike.
These short tracks, or these short runs, Dave, the weight hits them awful quick.
So Steve Jaski wins the class at 198.1. Bill Patterson finishes number 2, and Sean Heilman number 3.
Congratulations. I got to ask you, have you ever won here at Super Bowl?
That was my 4th year I've been here. I did a couple seconds third, but this first one I won.
4 years, first time you've ever won, all the way from Hollywood, Florida. I know that you could have gone to Bulls closer to home, but coming to Super Bowl means a lot to you.
Yeah, this is the bull everyone works for all summer long to come here and win this one.
A lot of good trucks here this afternoon.
Yeah, the top 12 trucks in the nation. They're all strong.
This will be a memory that'll be with you for many years to come.
Oh, yeah.
What did it take to win?
Well, I had my gear racing just right. Come out and walked out and hammered it, and hooked up and just went.
Okay, nice truck. Ed?
Glenn would like to give you this trophy. You wouldn't by happen call a boy or Georgia with a Ford and tell him about this, would you?
All the way from Wisconsin, your winner this afternoon, Steve Jaski, and I tell you, a big turnaround in about 12 hours.
Well, we felt pretty good about last night anyway, going out of bounds. We made one straight run that was probably the perfect run that the tractor's ever made, and even the run we went out of bounds, we were going for it. We had a good run going, and we felt pretty confident going in today that the tractor was hooking good and running good. Engines were running as probably the best they have in a long time, and we felt real good about going in today. Even going out of bounds last night, we weren't too upset about it because we felt we made a good run and we had fun last night.
Memory escapes me. Is this your first win with a tractor here at Super Bowl?
That's our first win with the tractor. Father won the 2 4-wheel drive classes last year, and boy, you know, before the weekend, I kind of thought Indy's kind of like another Grand National, whether it's something to get excited about, but until you win that first one, it brings a lump to your throat and tears to your eyes.
We're going to bring out the family right here, your folks right behind us. Let's get everybody in. Give your winner a nice round of applause, everybody. The Jaskis out of Wisconsin winning with the Meister Brown tractor. Here's the belt buckle. We say congratulations on behalf of Indy Super Bowl.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank everybody in the family, the crew, Bob Healy, Fred, Paul, Rick Shipley. Can't do it without them. The driver's got the easy part.
I want to talk to Dad here a moment. Dad, you got to be pretty proud of son, aren't you?
Well, I'll tell you, we've worked awful hard. Nobody knows how hard we've been put back home trying to make this tractor go straight and hook. And we kind of did her today, so we felt real good.
Well, you had 2 wins last year in the truck class. Now you come back, you win with the tractor. And last night you really had a shot at winning that one too. So everything is going your way right now.
Oh, we're looking good. We'll just try to be back and be consistent.
All right, we say congratulations as they take the pictures, the top 3 to the entire Meister Brown family. The Jeskies out of...
As we said earlier, Dave, this tractor is the smallest cubic inch of any tractor in the class.
The tractor matches up very well with the weight class.
Right, and this is Tom's best class.
Boy, it's a smooth run at 2:20 and 9.
Tom Dickerson over there in New York setting the pace.
Well, Dave, here comes this hot running 4010 of Neil Gettinger.
Well, here are these small tractors right up here at the top of the class. Dickerson and now Gettinger up and at 'em for Neil Gettinger, the John Deere 4010. It was a very popular tractor in its day when it was in the field, of course. Deere and Company. Out of Milton, Indiana, the Gettinger boys really had a super 1987
Boy,
season.
they did. They had a good year. Look at those tires turn.
Maybe a little high, but he's gone
Just
for
a little bit light on the front.
Look at him in the end, almost threw him out of the seat.
Great job of driving. He stayed right with it, Dave. You do what you gotta do.
Here's the Imposter. I like the name of this tractor. Alan and Dennis Brabac out of Albert City, Iowa. Alan will be doing the driving this time. It's an Alice Chalmers 8050. 4 turbocharger setup. We don't see this kind of setup very often, Mike.
No, this is a new series, Alice Chalmers, Dave, and the boys have been running this for several years, and they've really had some problems early when they first started with this tractor, but it's running real strong.
Well, I'll tell you, it can take sometimes up to 2 years to get the bugs worked out with all these multiple turbochargers.
Especially with something new.
Under the hood. Here he comes now. Alan Brabac, a nice, smooth start.
Good tire speed.
Boy, they're really moving. Look at that go. Oh, right at the end.
You heard the turbos start chirping. Possibly a turbo may have tied up on him.
191.9 for Alan Brabac.
Well, Dave, when it comes down to a good running and good looking John Deere, it's hard to beat Warren Ropp.
Well, they have really resurrected the Deere name. The last couple of years, they've done so well in national competition.
They sure have. Even up in the heavy classes, this is a real competitive tractor.
Iron Elk. Warren Ropp out of Kelowna, Iowa. His dad, Ernie, is here watching the competition. They love pulling and have been in it for many years. The John Deere 4430, the tires are spinning. It's on the way. Not quite enough at 210.2. Here's Mark Gettinger out of Milton, Indiana with the ACD-21 they call the equalizer. Watch his right hand, that's the throttle hand.
Right, they have to gradually feed the throttle to it and slip the clutch a little bit to put the engine under a load and get the turbochargers wound up.
What kind of a clutch would he run here, Mike?
They run a multiple disc slipper clutch, Dave. It's the only thing that would take this kind of abuse.
Got a nice pull going right down the center. Lifting nicely. But short of the pylon, as you see in your screen, at 207.8.
Dave, here's the only alcohol burner in the class. Lyle Hall from Wisconsin with a Minneapolis Moline G1000.
Now, years ago, the Mini-Mos were very popular because they had large engines.
Right, they have a very large cubic inch engine, probably up around 900 cubes.
Wow.
And it's not a real, because the engine's so large, it doesn't turn real fast. But all the Molines that have run throughout the years have all been alcohol powered.
All right, here we go. Watch those tires spin as fast as anybody in the class. Lyle Hall out of Wisconsin. And the big G1000, who had such a great 1987, comes up short at 207.11.
Go, turn around.
Well, Dave, last night when Rob Russell made his pull, he kind of blacked out the lights when we had a little failure on the smoke machine.
I imagine they've used a lot of 100-mile-an-hour tape up there.
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done since last night
to repair the smoke machine. Let's see what he can do today. Robert Russell out of Prescott, Iowa with an International 3688. Tractor takes on a little character there. Here again, they've dropped that front end slightly. Remember, these tractors are only used in pulling competition. They're not used at home in the farm anymore at all.
That's right.
Big multi-turbochargers. He'd have, what, 4 under the hood?
He has 4 turbochargers under the hood.
The distance to beat, Tom Dickerson is in the lead at 220.9.
All right, let's take a look now. Tom Dickerson is in the lead at 220 feet, 9.4.
Waiting for the track officials to clear the track. There seems to be a problem out there as Go-Go the Gorilla, our mascot for the weekend, has decided he wants to be playful here at today's pull. Now we notice that Rob Russell's hand goes to the throttle. He's just about ready to come off the line. This is a big engine, a lot of turbochargers, a lot of horsepower in a 7,000-pound class. It's got to be a favorite. Look at that, there's the pylon, and he has blasted past the pylon. He takes the lead at 2:27 and 11 as the Indiana State Fair Coliseum crowd erupts. There's no better supporter of John Deere tractors across America than this guy. Coleman Wheatley out of Bethel, Delaware, the Delaware Ether Eater. I like the name of that one. He's very famous for it.
Pretty catchy name, and this is Coleman's most competitive class.
4250 John Deere. That's the only brand I think he'll ever drive in his entire pulling career. He's looking down at his gauges. Here he comes.
Good run.
Boy, he's carrying that front end nicely, not having to touch the brakes at all, and a very stable pull right down the center at 210.9. That'll put him up in the standings.
That #1 spot.
Well, Dave, Esden Lehn from Dayton, Minnesota, getting ready to make his run with his IH 1486.
And I would have to think that Rob Russell is concerned about Esden Lehn because Esden Lehn has won several national championships in this class.
Absolutely. I'm sure Rob's out the other end of the track wringing his hands, just waiting to see what's going to happen.
Well, Esden Lehn has not had many good super pulls. In fact, last year he was not in the top 5 in the 7,500-pound class. Red Line Fever out of Dayton, Minnesota. His family also milks cows and dairy farmers back home. The week before, the Indy Super Pull, it was 21 below in the Twin Cities. Esden Lehn will build that boost and those turbochargers. That we talk about boost, how much, like?
In some cases, with these highly turbocharged super stalkers, upwards to 250 pounds of manifold pressure. A little light on the front end there, but still a good run.
Getting over a little bit to the left. There's the pylon in the corner of the screen, but he is way short at 216.7.
Way up in the air, this 7,000-pound class. 4240 calls it the Super Tiger. John Deere fans, get ready.
Well, Dave, Alfred Wiles is starting to wind up his John Deere Super Tiger. Beautiful looking tractor out of the state of Maryland. He had to hit a brake there right off the starting line, but looks like a real good run.
John Deere 4240, and now he sounds like he's got some engine problems there as he comes to a halt at 193.5. Well, Alfred Wiles didn't have any engine problems, just the turbochargers coming down. But here we go now, our final puller in the class, Bill Berg out of Farmington, Minnesota. He could be the guy to watch. International 3688, a perfect run going. Mike, looks like he runs out of power.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, whether it was a mechanical problem or a little too big a gear or what the problem was. Bill Berg ends up 178.7.
1 year last year in this class.
Well, here we go now with our final competitor in the class. It was Hans Boxler Jr., who was the original test puller here in the 7 Super Stock, but they had mechanical problems in the pit area, had the head off, had burnt pistons. They finally got the engine back together, and they're just glad to be on the track.
Yeah, they're lucky that they were the test puller and was able to drop to the last of the class.
And Mike understands that only the test puller can drop all the way to last.
That's right, Dave. Only the #1 man has that option.
So here's the Verysburg, New York dairy farmer with an International 1066. They had a great season in 1987, and boy, they'd like to come out on top. Wouldn't it be something if they could win here as the last competitor in the 7,000-pound Super Stock class? Nice start off the line. The Boxler Special on the way. Looking super smooth. There's the pylon, but they're a little short. And they're going to finish, however, number 3 in the class at 217.9.
Bert, are you happy? This has got to be, I believe, your first win at Indy.
Yeah, it is. This is my second year. Last year I was lucky enough to get third, and I was very happy to win this today amongst this competition.
Is there a lot of strategy down the starting line in a pull like this?
Yeah, you kind of ask your other competitor what he's got on his mind, and you watch them, and usually I like to watch Esden, Lehn, or Bert team because work tractors are pretty well alike on weight, but I had to run more for them today, and I guess it worked out.
A lot of the other tractors in the class ran out of horsepower. They ran out of steam. Were they trying too high a gear?
No, they run their normal 7 gear for an outdoor 300-foot track, but the shorter track and the way these sleds are working these days, they come on you awful hard and quick, and you really got to have the horsepower at the other end.
All right, let's bring in the belt buckle here. For first place, you'll wear this proudly, I know. This is a big moment in your young tractor and truck pulling life. There's a sterling silver belt buckle. How many years have you pulled, Ropp?
This will be my 4th year with Super Stock, and this has got to be my biggest win.
Biggest thrill you've ever had? Is your family here?
You bet. Mom and Dad are.
Mom and Dad are here. This will make the trip home to Iowa so great, won't it?
You bet.
Let's give you a nice round of applause. Your winner this afternoon, the 7,500-pound Super Stock, Ropp Russell. We say congratulations.